Hey everyone, welcome here to the Squares. We got week 10. This is Ricky here with fellow Square Ronnie. Um, as you guys can see, Steven wasn't able to make our show this week. As some of you know, Tommy Tuberville won the Senate seat in Alabama. And as an ex Auburn coach, and Steve being a Bama fan, um, he, let's just say, wasn't able to control his anger. Some things might have happened allegedly, um, but the thing I want to say right now is most important thing is everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and we hope to see Stephen back here next week. But um, the show must go on, so we're gonna go and try to do our best at hosting the show. I'm not gonna be able to be as good as Bammer Steve, but I'll try my best. So. First off, before we get into week 10 headlines and our picks, I want to recap week 9 picks. Ronnie, looks like you finally put your picks into BetSpurt. So I can actually say this isn't fake news now. So
I did
it looks like you went 6-3, 75% for the week.
Well, so I made some extra picks, and I went 3-1 for the picks I made on the podcast. But 6-3 is what's on BetSpurt. So I added some other people's picks. Didn't do as well there. 3-1 is what I gave to people.
Yeah, so it looks like your losses were Houston against Central Florida. You had Houston +3. It ended up being 44-21 UCF. Yeah. So that didn't work out too well.
That didn't work out very well. That was my loser on the show here last week.
Looks like you also had the two other losses that were not on the show. You had Cincinnati, Memphis. You had Memphis +6.5. They lost 49-10. That was one of my picks on the opposite side, so I was happy about that one. Looks, I think you might need to start thinking about Cincinnati being your new Memphis for this year.
I want Memphis to be my old Memphis.
Yeah, and then. Georgia State, Coastal Carolina. You're not trusting Coastal Carolina. You don't think they're for real yet, huh?
I mean, I had a lot of people talk about Georgia State last week. So I didn't give it out, but I took it for my own self and didn't work out for me. Coastal Carolina is where it's at.
Yeah. It looks like some of the other picks you had successful. Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. We'll get into that a little bit more once we go over my picks. Pretty pissed off on that game. You got Michigan State right with the +21.5. Crazy Big Ten going back and forth with the teams. How Michigan's, there was a stat I saw. I don't know if it was on game day or somewhere else where it said, everybody's so down on Michigan State because they lost to Rutgers, but you don't realize that there were 7 turnovers. I think you might have brought that up on the show too. 7 turnovers, Rutgers.
9 if you count the turnover on downs.
Yeah. So, also a bunch of Big Ten games you picked, actually. Surprised there. Any other comments on your picks from week 9 or anything else you want to talk about?
I think Michigan State was kind of a softball just because people overreacted on the Michigan State loss as well as overreacted on the Michigan win. So that was probably the easiest one of the week. That Houston game, that was more of one that I pushed there. I wanted for it to be right.
You just hate UCF that much.
I don't hate UCF. I just think I just thought they're overvalued. They get a lot of talk, and I think a lot of people pick them. So I thought maybe the line was a little too high. I watched Houston a couple times this year. I thought they were better than that. Didn't work out, but we did have a few winners there.
Yeah. So my week didn't do as well. Again, basically just average Ricky. I think it definitely needs to be my name from now on. 3-4 wins I had. Your Florida Gators. I didn't think that game was going to be close. It didn't end up being close. 41-17. Oklahoma State, Texas. I had Oklahoma State -3.5. I thought I had that game in the books mid third quarter. They're up 31-20. They start falling apart.
So did Mike Gundy.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone needs to do like a side by side for Mike Gundy from when he did his "I'm a man" speech, "I'm 40" to what he looks like right now
Yeah,
with his like full on tan, mullet, looking slick. He
yeah,
has his like the
yeah,
sunshades at night going on the sideline. So
yep,
yeah,
yeah. And,
definitely get a side by side.
I mean, everybody makes fun of Mark Richt, but isn't Gundy really the real Mark Richt? I mean, always losing like a 10-win kind of team, but never winning any big games.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they've been 10 wins until here the last few years. I think Oklahoma State was struggling there for a little while,
So
but
yeah, um, the one that really bothered me was the Georgia Tech Notre Dame game. As I was saying, um, line was -20. Notre Dame ended up winning 31-13. They let Georgia Tech score with I think 5 or 6 minutes left, and I already think it's a guaranteed loss, right? Like most teams, that point, you're up 31-13 with the ball with 5 minutes left. You get one first down, it's pretty much game over. I think Georgia Tech had one timeout left, and of course, Notre Dame is who they are and who I think they are, and they're assholes, and they try to run up the score on Georgia Tech by driving the ball down, throwing it on third downs, all this kind of stuff. They end up driving all the way down to literally the inch line and try to run another play with like 5 seconds left and get stuffed for like a loss of three, I think it was, or something like that. So I end up
why would they even
losing.
do that?
Yeah, no idea why they would do that. I don't know if Brian Kelly's trying to make them think they're better than they are and just be like, oh, we're going to be on people's throats no matter what the score is. I don't know what that was about. Um, but I mean, I was happy at the moment because I thought, okay, maybe this will work out in my favor. Maybe they, drive inside the 40 and then kick a field goal and I cover. But it didn't work out that way. So now I just hate Notre Dame even more because you were trying to be poor sportsmen and
And
you
run up the
you
score.
still screwed me. So and then the Tulane Temple game, I thought Temple had a better was going to have a better offense than that. I mean, Tulane scored what I thought they were going to score. I know you said Tulane's defense is blah blah blah. I still thought Temple was going to put up more points there. And then Virginia, North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina was a hype machine this whole offseason at the beginning of the year, and I thought the FSU game would have been a wake up call to them. They look like they played better against NC State the week
Yeah.
after that game, but they laid an egg again against Virginia and lost that game. So I was pretty surprised there. So, but yeah, that was most of my big news. Most of the big topics I want to talk about with week 9. So you cool with us going to week 10?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Okay, so week 10, there's probably there's a couple big things going on. You got the the Mac came back yesterday on Wednesday
Maction.
night. Yeah, didn't watch it a second of it, so have no idea what happened. So, and then the Pac-12 comes back this week. Probably will not watch a second of that as well, except for maybe the Oregon Stanford game. That's the primetime game on ABC, and I really think it's just a primetime game because I they want to talk about the Pac-12 and get them involved. I don't know, but don't know much about Oregon to talk a lot about this game, other than I know I saw a practice report. The old Boston College quarterback transferred there. I think it was Antonio Brown. I think it was his name. That guy could not throw at Boston College. I remember he was kind of a runner. I think wasn't he at Florida at one point? Didn't he like?
I don't know
Because
about that.
I don't know if Adazio took him with him at one point. I don't know. Anyways, so it's between that Boston College kid and another kid that's on the Oregon team. So we'll see who ends up starting. I'm probably leaning towards Oregon just because Cristobal, I think, is a good coach, recruits really, really well, and the rest of the Pac-12 kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think Stanford had a couple of first round draft picks that are going to be first round draft picks opt out for the season. I think they have a lot of people, ride the bench for COVID or injuries. So I don't think um, they're all that ready. Another interesting thing about Pac-12 is with Big Ten. at least they were practicing over the summer and through the fall, up until they started playing. Pac-12 hasn't been doing any of that, and I think they've practiced for 6 weeks. So you're going to have a lot of out of shape guys. It's going to be interesting to see what the game's going to look like late in the game. Also, if they're going to have offensive or defensive troubles, they're like, is the defense going to dominate games early and the unders are going to be the winners, or is it going to be like the rest of the teams where offenses outpacing defense? Be something to watch there for overs and unders.
Yeah, another thing is they have the same kind of concerns that the Big Ten has of can you make it through a whole season. I think I already saw Cal canceled their game this weekend. I
Yeah,
can't remember
Cal
who
and
they're playing.
Washington, I think, is
Okay, yeah.
game already got canceled.
So, I mean, both of them are basically already out of the running for their conference, most likely because they're not going to be. There's no time to make up that game.
Is it
Uh,
6 or 7 games that they're supposed to play?
I'm not sure. I thought everybody was playing at least 8. I know they're a week behind, 2 weeks behind, but I thought
Yeah,
somehow they were going to figure that out and just play the conference game a little bit later. But so, I mean, I think Oregon and USC are obviously the only ones that I think really have a chance um, to make it a playoff because of their name more than anything, not because I think they're probably going to be good enough, just more of name recognition.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens with those games. There's probably 3 other big games. The first one I'll say is BYU Boise State. People would normally say that's a big game, but BYU, when you think of the non-Power 5 teams, it's them and Cincinnati. They're probably going to be fighting to see if they can sneak their way into the playoff, which probably unlikely. But in this
Who do you
odd
think
COVID year,
wins, Cincinnati or BYU?
Cincinnati's defense, they seem like one of the few teams with a defense. But again, who are they playing?
Sure.
So BYU does seem like they have electric offense. I don't know that
Decent
Cincinnati.
defense as well.
Yeah, I don't know that
BYU
Cincinnati
does.
can throw. Where I know BYU's quarterback can throw. So
I heard
that's
already
kind
that
of
he's
the.
supposed to be like a top 10 pick or something.
Yeah, I was wondering is he going to be draft eligible this year? Or is he just a sophomore? Because I thought he was pretty young.
I think he's a junior. I just think he looks like he's 12. So,
I
so
thought you had to be like 45 to go to BYU though. So
he didn't go on his mission trip yet. So just sign him up later.
yeah, yeah. So but Boise State, how many games have they played? Have they played 2 games so far?
7.
They've played that many games, and this is only wow.
Because I don't think they're in the WAC. I think they're independent, aren't they?
Boise State, I thought, was in the Mountain West, unless something changed.
Yeah, they're Mountain West. Boise State is. They've only played 2 games. But,
No, that's what I meant. Sorry, that's what I was saying. Boise State, they've only played 2 games, right?
yeah, but yeah, BYU. I think they might be independent, and they've been playing all along. They didn't run around trying to find people
Yeah,
to
I
play.
think I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So I honestly I just don't know enough about Boise State to say what's going to happen in that game. I think I'll just lean with BYU just because I've seen them play and I know a little bit more about them.
We'll get into that game here in a little bit.
Okay. What's the line for that right now? Do you know?
This morning it was 3.5. I think I got it at 3. So you can check my BetSperts account to find out for sure. But
yeah, good job. Yeah, it is minus. It is minus 3.5.
I noticed last week when I put in my picks that there is tracking the closing line value.
Yep.
On there, so it's like, oh dang it, I didn't put them in early enough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So for anybody who isn't familiar, me and Ronnie are both trying to put our picks on betspurts.com so that if there's any additional picks that we make after the show, you guys can check those out and hopefully make some money off of us. My user profile name is rgomezsae, and Ronnie, yours is?
It's probably Ron John 4628.
Yep, I believe that's what it is. So, yeah, check us out on there, and hopefully you can make some additional money from not just the picks we're making here, but later ones as well. So the other 2 bigger games, this one lost a little bit of luster Clemson against Notre Dame game. Last week, you saw, I think Boston College was beating Clemson with Trevor Lawrence being out because of COVID. I think they were beating them like 28-10 at one point. And then you saw Clemson storm back. I think they ended up winning by almost 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how Notre Dame does because typically when they play good teams, they get blown out. So do they just lose this game instead of get blown out, or do they figure out a way uh, to win? And how does that then, what do you think happens? First of all, who do you think's going to win? And then once you answer that question, I might have a follow up question.
So I'm surprised that Clemson. I mean, I guess maybe I'm not surprised, but they're given 5.5, and I just feel like Notre Dame's not at the caliber of Clemson, but also I don't know how good their true freshman quarterback is going to be able to do against a much more superior team than Boston College is. I don't know. I feel like the competition for both teams that they've played against is the same. So as far as like a good measuring stick, I don't know that they've played like really really good teams. Like Clemson's obviously played Miami, which was better than probably most of the other teams that they played. And then I'm trying to think of who's Notre Dame's a big game been so far, but I think you're just going to find out more about both teams here. But at least maybe the defensive side for Clemson. Offense is just I don't know if that freshman quarterback can hang.
So, money line, who would you pick?
I think it's plus 190 Notre Dame. I feel like if Notre Dame does win, it's going to be really close. So just thing that scares me is like Ian Book is just going to lay an egg, score 12 points like he did against Louisville, and Clemson's going to end up winning, or is he actually going to be able to perform and they get some offense going? I don't know what the over under is, but I would
Over
think
50.5.
yeah. I mean, normally you would say over for this game, but maybe the under is a way to go for here. Just I think their name might be able to pin down the freshman quarterback. Clemson's defense is obviously pretty good.
So it sounds like you're leaning towards Notre Dame.
I don't know. It's there's too much uncertainty. I would if I had to play the game, I'd play the under.
Okay. Well, um, based on what I've seen, I was talking to a buddy about this because seeing that BC game, I was like, how in the world is Clemson's defense letting up this many points? Like when we played them, it was like we couldn't get anything on them. It was very rare we were even getting first downs on them. So part of me says they just a team that they need a game that matters to play to their full potential. And obviously with Lawrence being out, they're gonna be hyped up. So they probably play at another level defense. And I don't think Notre Dame's offense is that great. So I can definitely see, a touchdown or two, them holding Notre Dame to.
Right.
And then Clemson, obviously they're not as good with Lawrence, as expected, but ETN's still there. Their offensive line's still there. And that quarterback is a big boy. So, I mean, they might just be running, 50 plays. So I can see Clemson still being able to put enough points up to win that game. So let's just assume we both, Notre Dame ends up winning the game. Does this matter for the playoffs at all? Because I kind of feel like nobody's going to value it. Everybody's going to say it doesn't matter. Lawrence wasn't playing. They'll play in the ACC championship against each other. Clemson will probably win. So even if it's a one-loss Florida or Georgia, let's say, against a one-loss Clemson in that scenario, I think Clemson would win out because you would say Trevor Lawrence was out for their one loss.
That and the conference champion. So what do SEC conference champion, ACC conference champion, they're going. Big Ten conference champion, they're going. So they're all making the playoff. Yeah.
So you're banking on playoffs, Big Ten champion, SEC champion, ACC champion. Who gets a 4th spot then?
I mean, you don't have to worry about Clemson not being the fourth, or Clemson's not going to be that fourth team because they're going to
Yeah.
win the ACC championship. So I don't know.
Do you think Notre Dame would make it in over a? I guess it would be a 2-loss SEC champion. I mean, runner up if you assume Alabama beats either you guys or Georgia, right? Or Texas A&M at this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Notre Dame gets through just because you know how Notre Dame gets lucky with all this stuff.
I don't know, man. It's just a lot of football left to be played, so a lot is going to determine how the rest of the season goes, which is maybe why Brian Kelly's trying to run it up against Georgia Tech and
Yeah.
have at least 30 on the board instead of, or whatever the score would have been.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring it to the third game. Obviously, a game that you're interested in. So, Florida, Georgia. To me, this feels like one of your guys' best opportunities to get a win out of this game. Your offense is going to score points. I think Georgia's defense, while good, was probably overrated for a while. Alabama exposed them, and then their offense has not looked that great. Last week against who was it? Arkansas? No,
Kentucky.
Kentucky. That was a very low scoring game.
It was like 12 or 15 to 3 or something like that.
And Kentucky's been letting people score on them, so it's not like everybody thought Kentucky's defense was going to be good at the beginning of this year, but that really hasn't turned out that way. So, what's your thoughts, man? You confident?
I mean, I don't like betting on my team. So if I did, I mean, taking +3, I could live with that because I want to win anyway. But I probably won't. I think we'll put up at least 30. I don't know what the team total is. I don't think the team total is up yet, but I think they'll score at least 30. Or I think we'll get to 30. I think that's probably a good number for Florida's offense. It's just a matter of can our defense slow them down enough. We obviously got 2 suspensions. That's different
Carter
first
and
half. Powell, but I don't know. I think if anything, I think we have enough guys to stay with it on the defense for the first half and just help keep us fresh for the second half. So I don't think it's the end of the world losing those 2 guys for the first half. But I think just our secondary is a problem because Trey Dean got hurt in that little scuffle. He ended up on crutches. I don't know if he's going to be out for this game or not. But we just have a lot of secondary issues.
But is that as big of a worry for you with this quarterback that if they're going to beat you up, they're probably going to beat you up running, and I don't know that you guys are as concerning on defense with running as you are against the passing game?
That's not necessarily true. Like South Carolina, Texas A&M, they all run down our throat. So, we definitely looked a lot better in the Missouri game, and I know we finally got Campbell back on the defensive line, and they were talking about that during the game. But, I think Georgia can probably outpace Missouri. I don't know. Missouri has looked pretty good in a few games, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not confident, but definitely hopeful that we can pull it out. I think it's a good shot. I know they have one of their star receivers out. They have a lot of injuries, actually. I think one of them got hurt in a car accident, the defensive lineman or something like that. I think another one, hurt his knee last game. So they have their own injury issues as well. So it'd be interesting to see, how it plays out.
So, are you ready to tell your coach to shut up and stop and stay out of the news at this point?
Man, that was all the ref's fault. That was completely the ref's fault. So if the ref would call roughing the passer, then we wouldn't have been in a scuffle with him, and the coach wouldn't have to run out onto the field and get in the ref's face, and that whole melee would never happen. But
and encourage your team to get into a fight and stir violence. Yeah,
I wasn't encouraging. He was getting the ref's face. I mean, if you got people trying to throw punches at you and take out your quarterback, that's what you're going to do. I mean, that's what they do in hockey. Like, if the refs aren't going to take care of it, then they take care of it. And that's pretty much what happened. So I think the refs should get suspended. They should be fined, all that type of stuff, because they didn't do the job.
All right. Well, All right. Any other big topics you want to talk about before we get into the picks for our week 10?
I think we pretty much covered it all. I'm definitely gonna be watching some Pac-12 games to see, what to play next week on the over/unders.
Okay. All right. So who you got for your first pick this week? Ron
So,
John 4628.
how many picks do you have?
I got 6 picks this week, and
All
to
right.
be honest, I'll say it up front. I didn't pick the Miami game this week because I'm hearing we're going to have a bunch of COVID problems potentially, but they don't announce them until an hour before the game. We know it's not our starting quarterback because we've seen him in some press conference stuff, so feel good about that. But I'm still worried about who could be out. So I know I think we're -10 or -10.5. If we didn't have players out, I would actually probably pick that because NC State's missing their quarterback and stuff. But so that's also partially, it's kind of hit home this week. So I'm hesitant on how many games I want to pick this early. This is Thursday night, guys. We usually do it Friday night. I'm hesitant how many games to pick early because it just seems like more and more of these COVID things are happening last minute. So you don't know who's on the field.
Yeah. Well, you go first because you got more than me. I got 3 official, and I'm like on the fence on 2.
All right. So the first one we kind of talked about already, BYU -3. Again, this is no research. Don't watch Boise State at all, but BYU seems to have been playing well this year, so I'm going -3 BYU.
Okay. Well, since you mentioned that, I did some research on this game. I am on the same side as you, and Steven's gonna like that we picked this game. So
Yeah, he's definitely going to call this.
BYU.
This is a complete square pick. Nobody watches these teams.
I mean, I do feel like it's square making this pick because I feel like we're going to lose and Boise State's going to show up. But I couldn't help myself. I watched BYU probably 2 or 3 games this year, and they have looked really good. I think they're going to, show up there on the smart turf and take care of some business. They have a really explosive offense, and I think Boise's probably going to have. I think the biggest thing is they're going to have a difficult time keeping pace with BYU, especially because I think BYU's defense is a little underrated just because everybody talks about their offense. I think the defense is going to be the difference maker, and they were able to slow down a really explosive Houston team, and they're averaging, I think, 90 yards on the ground, which is going to be important in this game because I think this was the one where I wrote down. There was no, I think it's a different one. I had one game that's going to be like a rain game, but I don't think it's this one. But yeah, I think Boise. I was going to hate on their rushing defense for Boise because they have over 250 yards they're giving up on the ground, but they only played 2 games and one was Air Force, so I couldn't really hate on them too much on that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but they did let Air Force put up 30 on them. So
yeah, that's concerning,
this
especially if you had
this
time
is
to
the wet
prepare
game.
for them.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is the wet game because it is forecast for rain. I think the over under was 61, and I thought about this is
This
going to
time
be
of the
good.
year, is it even going to be rain or is it going to be snow?
I don't know. I didn't look up. I didn't see what the temperature is going to be. But it said rain. It didn't say snow. So
Okay, must be a day game
um,
then.
I think it's like a 3 o'clock or something like that game. But yeah, I thought about the
Oh
taking
no,
the
it's tomorrow
over.
night at 9 o'clock almost. I'm surprised it's
Oh, that's
not.
right. Yeah, it's Friday game. Um, yeah, I said screw it. It's going to be more running because the ball's going to be wet and all that kind of stuff. So I felt like it's going to kind of play more into BYU fans there. I don't really like taking short road favorites. I definitely feel like we're going to get burned on this, but I couldn't help myself. Definitely lay the field goal. I think it's over 3.5 now. Late with BYU. I think it's the pick.
Another square fact to add to this game. I always trust teams more that have Samoans on them. And BYU's got a bunch of Samoans. You don't mess with
Yeah, they do.
Samoans. There's some
BYU
bad,
just always gets some athletes, man.
yeah,
They
there's some
definitely do.
big bad boys. So that's part of it as well. Why I picked BYU. You want me to pick
Yeah.
another game and then we'll go to you?
Yeah.
Okay. My next pick, Texas versus West Virginia. I got Texas -6.5. West Virginia, West Virginia doesn't really have offense. They have a decent defense, but Texas is probably riding a high. They know they got to keep winning out to keep their head coach at least being on the hot seat, if not maybe potentially losing his job. So I see Texas winning by more than a touchdown here.
Yeah, I heard this pick a couple of times on some different podcasts I listened to this week, and I was trying to research a little bit on the team. I didn't see enough to really make me feel good about making the pick, but I definitely like the Texas side. I do feel like Texas, after the way they started the year, has been kind of undervalued. I took them last week. I didn't say it in the show, but it was on my bet spurts, and they did, pull out the win there. I feel like definitely they can cover by a touchdown in this game. They've been, I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's going to be more because Texas, I know they can actually score points, where I know West Virginia struggles mightily to score points. So,
Yeah.
But all right, who's your pick?
So going back to the well again with Liberty, they're getting 15 points. Oh, you got this one?
So no, but I definitely thought about Liberty might actually just straight out beat Virginia Tech. I think I can't believe what Liberty's been doing this year.
They look well. They're finally ranked, and that may be the kiss of death. So we may get screwed here again. But I think Liberty. I think they can cover the 15. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull off the outright upset, but they're definitely a live dog, and they have a respectable defense. So I think last week Virginia Tech, they can only beat Louisville by a touchdown, even though they had a +3 turnover differential. And Virginia Tech was also 1 for 7 on third downs, and they only passed the ball 10 times. Virginia Tech's like running the ball like for the year 70%, just like they did last week. They run the ball 70% of the time, but their third down conversions pretty low. It's 34%. So I just felt like that kind of played to the strength of the Liberty defense. Now, I mean, obviously these two teams are kind of on different tiers, but if they're getting 15 points, I feel like Liberty can keep it close in a slugfest, and I would take the +15 for Liberty.
Yeah, I haven't watched any Virginia Tech games since the UNC game. That was kind of a battle back and forth. And it seems like they were unsure who they wanted to play as their quarterback. I think Virginia Tech earlier this year was riding with there was a running back I think they had gotten from Kansas, a transfer that was lighting it up. So like over 120 some yards a game. But the quarterback that they were trying to bring in, I think, was Hooker, who was more of just an athlete, I think, more than a passer or a quarterback. So I'm wondering if, lately they've just been running the ball because he's probably turning it over and stuff, and that maybe people are just shutting them down in the box, and that's why they're having trouble scoring. So, but yeah, Virginia Tech always has one of these games every single year where they almost lose to a no-name school like Old Dominion or something like that. So this is probably that game. The only thing is like people know about Liberty, like you said, they're ranked, so that might.
They already beat Syracuse earlier in the year.
Yeah, so that might skew it a little bit, but I could see it being close.
Yeah, I could see it being within 15.
Yeah. So the next game I got, and this is my. I'm going to say it's my lock of the week, actually, and it's my Memphis this year. Cincinnati -13.5 against Houston. Houston, ever since they took that lead on BYU, I think they're slowly fading a little bit. So, and Cincinnati needs to keep beating teams handily that they play if they want to make a case for getting into that final playoff spot. So, I got Cincinnati -13.5 in this one.
So, I looked at this game. I wanted to pick Houston so bad, but I just couldn't pull the trigger because Cincinnati's been playing so well and they got such a really good defense. I think Houston has a couple guys out. I think I was reading, so it just kind of scared me away there at the end with some of the injuries they had. I think that can happen. It's just a lot of points, especially for a team that can score. But Cincinnati definitely, I think they'll definitely win.
Yeah. The next game I got, and to be honest, again, I was struggling this week, doing a lot of research and figuring out teams to pick. So I got Texas A&M -10 against South Carolina. seems like Texas A&M hasn't played in a while, right?
Yeah, I looked at this game briefly. I do think they had maybe a bye last week, like their normal bye. Let me look. They played Arkansas. No, they played Arkansas last week. That's what it was. Because I thought about taking Arkansas. They beat them by 11. I can't remember what the line was. And then South Carolina, they've been off for. They've had a week to prepare, extra week to prepare. They played LSU and got destroyed by that freshman quarterback
Yep.
against LSU 2 weeks ago.
Yep. So, this is probably more going off. Texas A&M was able to beat Florida and be competitive. They got blown out by Alabama, yes, but it was actually a little competitive, kind of, for the first half. So this is me thinking they're a significantly better team than South Carolina. And
Probably true.
they're -7. They're probably a little feeling themselves, have a little bit more confidence, playing with confidence. Where South Carolina really just playing their season, finish the games. They're not in contention for anything. So,
Yeah.
What next pick?
My next pick is Northwestern. So we talked about last week how the Northwestern offense has some firepower. They have that graduate transfer from Indiana, Ramsey, as their quarterback. He's had a lot of game experience. But I think the bigger thing here is Northwestern, their defense, in the 2 games that they played, they've only given up 250 yards of total offense on average for those 2 games. So they're playing a Nebraska team who's not only they definitely struggled on offense. Is this Scott Frost's third year or is this second year? I can't remember. It's his third year, isn't it? Scott Frost for the head coach for Nebraska.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So before he got there, they were.
Did they win the national championship again?
Yeah, I remember because we lost to him 95. But yeah, I think Iowa and Maryland, the two teams Northwestern's played, aren't exactly offensive juggernauts, but neither is Nebraska. They've been struggling for a while. They still have the same quarterback they've had for the last couple of years. I don't think a lot has changed there. It's hard to judge Nebraska because they only got to play that one game against Ohio State, but I think Northwestern is going to be strong enough to take it to Nebraska this weekend and cover the short number. So you can lay the 3.5 with Northwestern.
Yeah, I mean, it also looks impressive with what I know when they played Maryland. That was Tua's first game. He played terrible. But when you see what Maryland did to Minnesota and stuff, you start valuing that win, that blowout a lot more. So, and Nebraska, it seems like they've been in a lot of turmoil. Obviously, they had the problem with conferences. They lost to Ohio State. I know that like several players that they had recruited this year already transferred out of school pretty quickly. So maybe they don't have a great locker room either, and some problems with the coaching staff. So, yeah, it kind of seems like things might start falling apart this year if they don't start winning some games.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch for sure. They need to turn around pretty fast. I know they'll probably give Scott Frost a little more time than most, but they're definitely running out of time there.
Yeah. All right, here's my next 2 picks. Again, I told you, I don't know much about Pac-12. I'm going Oregon -10, and this is more because this is actually a Miami homer pick. So this is a perfect square pick. Mario Cristobal, ex-offensive lineman on the Miami Hurricanes, ex-assistant coach on our team a couple different times. This is basically, if Manny Diaz screws up Miami, everybody is like, you better throw the whatever at Mario Cristobal and bring him home, because this guy can recruit with anybody. I would put him against Saban, to be honest with you, on the recruiting trail. So this is more me saying you got Oregon, all the Nike resources that they have and everything, what he's able to do with recruiting. He's been around big programs like Alabama. He was the offensive line coach there for a while. So he knows, how to build a program and everything. So, and like you said, Stanford, I think, lost some people. You saw KJ Costello's not there anymore, which is probably a good thing for them, seeing how he's playing at Mississippi State. But yeah, so I don't know how good Stanford's going to be this year. Though Shaw is a very good coach, so I'm sure he'll have them decently prepared. But I feel like Stanford's been slowly dropping off a little bit these past couple of years from,
Yeah,
being not a top, kind of like a top 15 team always. So
yeah, yeah. Back in the what was the quarterback's name?
McCaffrey and Luck.
Yeah, Luck. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Back in those days, 10 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Too bad Bammer Steve isn't in here so he can tell you how much he
oh
loves
yeah,
Andrew Luck.
yeah. More than Fitzmagic, right?
Yeah. uh, um,
Uh,
all right.
I got a game that
Okay.
is an ACC game that I was thinking about. Right,
Okay.
so I tried to look at the last two games for the Criminals because you know they had a pretty tough start. But I know they changed some things, changed some personnel there the last few weeks. So I tried to look at the last couple of games and really look at it. It wasn't that impressive. Even in the North Carolina game, they scored right off the bat with a one offensive play right off or a block punt, and they got a pick six. So that's right there is like 14 of their 31 points. And then they had a couple of good drives for some touchdowns. Got them to 31 by halftime, and then it scored all in the second half. And North Carolina's had too big of a hole to overcome, and they couldn't catch the ball. They couldn't. They made too many mistakes to kind of overcome that deficit in the second half. And then last week they played Louisville. They got smoked on defense. I guess their offense did put up almost 400 yards, but they just had trouble finding the end zone. Only scored 16 points. Um, so they're playing this week against Pitt.
Is
I
Pickett
know
back?
is Pitt what now?
Is Pickett back for Pitt?
Is Pitt now what?
Is Pickett the quarterback for
Oh
Pittsburgh? Is
no,
he back?
that's why it's not a play because I thought they were going to get him back for that game against Notre Dame, and then they got smoked 45-3, lost that pick for you guys. But yeah, I don't think based on what I was reading today that he's not coming back. He's at practice, but he's not doing plays. So I don't think he's going to be back. If he was, it would be a play for me, but I don't think he's coming back for this game. I just was surprised that they were favored. I think it's -2 Criminals,
Yep.
and I just couldn't. So that was like, man, there's no way that's right. And then Pickett's not there, so I guess I could see the line there. It's going to be a toss-up game. They had a lot of trouble with that kid. I think he turns over the ball quite a bit. So that backup quarterback for Pitt, but
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think there?
Um, yeah, I kind of agree. It's a 50-50 game there. Is Travis? I thought Travis got hurt at one point, the Florida State quarterback in the North Carolina game. So I didn't know if he's back to full health. Seemed like he was having shoulder issues that North Carolina game, but um, he's probably not going to. I mean, Pitt has a good defense. So if Pittsburgh could not turn over the ball, more than once, I could
Yeah,
see Pitt winning this game and maybe even by 10 points or more. But if that kid starts turning over the ball, then yeah, I can see why this line makes sense. So,
yeah.
um,
It's just a lean for me.
yeah, yeah, I I agree. I'd probably stay away from it. Um, so my last game I got before you get into your last pick. Uh, Again, I don't know why I keep doing this and being kind to you, but got Florida plus 3.5. Um, I just don't see a backup quarterback doing much, even though your guys' defense sucks. I don't see him doing
Yeah,
tons, and I don't see
probably won't
them
have to
hold.
do much. Probably gonna
Yeah,
run the ball the whole time.
yeah, but I could still easily see you guys putting up 40 points.
Yeah, I think we'll get to 30. I think if we put up 40, we probably will win. But I don't know what the over under is.
I
But
think it
yeah, I
was
think
62.5, which makes me almost think like maybe that's the play. But again, knowing the SEC, this will be a 13-10 game, and I'll be like, really? So,
yeah.
is there any fans going to be? So, is this getting played in Jacksonville with fans? Sorry, over under 52.5. Actually, I should probably definitely play that. Is this going to be in Jacksonville with fans, like half capacity, zero fans? Do you know?
I'm pulling it up right now. I can't remember exactly where the game is. Let's see. 2:30 game. It's in Jacksonville. Yep. So I don't. I think I read something about the number of fans that were there. It's going to be different. Let's see what it says. No, that was the Arkansas game I was reading about earlier. I haven't pulled up, but yeah, I don't know about the fan situation. It's definitely gonna not. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be quiet. Nothing's really gonna go on, I'm sure. So yeah, man, maybe the over is to play there with being 52.5. I
Yeah.
just Georgia is definitely the best defense that we've come up against so far. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we perform. But I just feel like we have so many offensive weapons, and Trask is playing really well. It's gonna be hard to slow us down. That's why I felt like we're gonna get to 30. Um, if the game stays under, I think we win. But
I just submitted the over 52.5.
there you
So
go.
I now have 7 picks.
There you go. Well, hey man, that's probably the winner. That's probably the lock of the week right there.
Yeah. Cincinnati minus 13.5. Sticking with them.
Well, talk for a lock.
Yeah. So who's your third and final pick?
Well, I gave 3.
Who's your
And
third pick?
I had Northwestern,
Oh,
Liberty,
yep.
and BYU.
Yep. Okay.
But there's 2 other games I'm thinking about. One I might take, and one that I wanted to make this pick, but I couldn't do it. It was BC and Syracuse, and I saw Syracuse getting 14 at home, and I was like, man, BC's not that good. How are they going to give up 14 points on the road? But I don't know. Syracuse is getting worse and worse. The more I was reading about it, the more I was looking at their stats. They're pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. So I didn't take it. I wanted to because there was a lot of points at home, but I didn't take it. The other one I was going to take, and I still might, is Tennessee and Arkansas. So Tennessee
I like Arkansas. I don't know what the line is, but I would say I like Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and maybe that's why it's -2, and maybe that's why it's not a good pick because all the value's gone out of Arkansas. But Tennessee on the road, favored, even if it is only 2 points, I don't see it there. The only thing that scared me away was Tennessee has an extra week to prepare, and Pruitt has to win this game. It's his 3rd year, and he's obviously already had a lot of people complaining. They're 2-3. Both teams are 2-3. Tennessee definitely needs this win.
Yep.
So
when's old Felipe visiting his ex parents?
I can't remember. I think they do play us this year.
Oh, they definitely play you guys.
Yeah. I think let's see, next week.
All right. He's probably looking forward to that game, so maybe that could be factor in there. He's probably got that game next week circled, ready to go.
Oh, I'm sure he is. Maybe that's why they're not going to do well against Tennessee this week because he's going to be looking forward to next week.
That's a possibility. But all right.
I don't know if I'm going to play it. I just couldn't. I couldn't pull the trigger on that, knowing that Tennessee had an extra week and all the value's gone out of Arkansas.
I know it's a stupid square thing again, but the fact that he's playing Florida next week, I do think could play a role in his mental psyche for this game. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Sure. Well, everyone, so there's our picks for the week. Again, go back to BetSperts if you want to see everything we had in writing, if you didn't get to write it down, or you can watch this video again. And keep it on BetSperts to see if we add any picks during the week as we find out more information. Hopefully next week we'll get Bam or Steve back. Innocent until proven guilty.
Get some bail money together.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll win enough money to get bail money because we're definitely too poor for that right now. Hopefully he'll be here next week so we can have him host his show and antagonize us a little bit more, and then I can have the opportunity to talk a lot more crap to everybody. So, have a great week, everybody. Thanks again for tuning into the Square. Adios.
All right. See you.
See you.